King of Seoul. Kitak Kim is the King of Seoul and a fighter to reckon with. He's the firstborn son of pre-generation legend Pyeongtaek Kim and the older brother of Jae Kim. He also became the King of Seoul during the first generation, after defeating Ji Chang, the former King of Seoul, and expelling him to Cheonliang province. He's also the strongest of all the kings of the first generation. Kitak Kim was once in Mexico, leading a gang, which seems to be quite influential in the country. After the end of the hunt for Gunark, he came back to Korea. King of Cheonliang, Ji Chang, a member of the first generation. During his prime, he was known as the King of Seoul until being defeated by Kitak Kim. He was then banished to the Cheonliang province where he himself defeated the current King of Cheonliang and took over his title. He had a major influence over this area, overseeing several non-legal businesses, including a beekeeping, butchering, puppy mills and brewing businesses, until he was defeated once again by another powerful opponent, James Lee. James was on a mission to defeat and take a body part from all of the kings. However, James didn't take any part of Ji Chang's body. Later, Ji Chang would give up the seat of the King of Cheonliang due to one-sided losses. He would then become a police officer under the guidance of Daegu. Despite leaving the throne as king, he still exerts a lot of influence from the Cheonliang area, as his two younger brothers would take up the job of running his crew. Ji Chang also had a technique known as the hand blade. The hand blade was a technique was mainly used to chop at opponents with his right hand, while the left one tends to be used for defense, explaining the scars all over his left hand, which he got from Kitak Kim. King of Ansan, Tae-soo-ma. The King of Ansan, a man with a strong faith in his right fist, which is extremely powerful and his only weapon in combat. However, after losing to James Lee, who took his right eye, his faith began to waver. He began to train using both of his hands, believing this will allow him to beat James Lee. This made him discard his belief of using his right hand alone, but he once again lost to James because he lacked faith in himself. With this knowledge, he went on training with only his right and powerful hand. Despite his imitating appearance, he's quite caring, as his interactions and relationship with Hudson Ann is one that is memorable. He's also prideful, not about his strength, but his belief. It is not stated how Tae-soo ran his area of Korea. King of Suwon, Seok-do-wong, is the leader of the Suwon gang, which is gang that takes jobs as thugs for hire. Seok-do is caring, but a furious fighter. He cares a lot about his comrades and his territory, which is why he is willing to put a stop to Eli, Samuel and Warren by himself from taking over his area, even though he was then defeated. He also enjoys the thrill of a fight. His signature weapon in battle is his powerful headbutts, and just one headbutt from him can damage cars and walls. His forehead is the part of his body he trains harshly. That is signified by scars on his forehead. But that is not to downplay his raw and monstrous strength in hand-to-hand combat. He also has an apprentice named Chang-yong, who inherited the Seok-do staffing agency from Seok-do-wong. King of Pyeongtaek. Not much is known about this minor character, but we do know that he scales just below Seok-do, as it took only Eli and Warren to defeat him. As for Seok-do, it took Eli, Warren and Samuel to even put him down. King of Cheonliang. Seong-ji-yuk was the king of Cheonliang. He was titled the Monster of Cheonliang Mountain because he had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, which is a condition called polydactyly. He was the teacher of Vin-jin and his friends, yet he was also an apprentice of Mujin-jin, Vin-jin's father. Seong-ji is quite unfriendly, calling Vin-jin a little bastard and threatening to kill him when he called him a monster. Despite this, he is a very dedicated and good-hearted individual, choosing to fight the Kojima brothers and 3 members of Generation Zero, which is known as the strongest generation. He did this in order for the Cheonliang fam to have a chance to escape. When they were caught, he would choose to have his 6 fingers amputated by the evil shaman in Vinjin's place. In his past, he used to be served as an offering in a ritual that was done by the shaman to cure others of misfortune. But it was a ploy to make money and manipulate the people of Cheonliang to praise him in the name of the infant god. After the events of the Cheonliang arc, he drowned himself. King of Incheon, Ye-jin-na has a somewhat childish personality and has a strong obsession toward cars. So much so that he got angry with Daniel Park, who had slightly touched his car accidentally. Ye-jin is mostly seen using taekwondo and grappling moves. He also has remarkable speed, as he swiftly took down all of Shin Myung-cheon's subordinates in a few seconds, leaving fist and stamp marks on their faces, signifying that he is also powerful in strength. He shows quick reflexes and speed by quickly catching up to James, even though he was distracted by tying his shoelaces. Note that James Lee is the fastest character in the series currently. King of Seongnam. Not a lot is known about Jin Yonggo, but we know that he scales lower than the king of Pyeongtaek, since Eli Jang was able to defeat him by himself. King of Daegu. Gong Seobji is a monk and a mentor of Zokli. In the past, he used to rule the area known as Daegu, which is one of the larger parts of South Korea. He uses a special version of boxing that is called iron boxing, which is only attained at Buddhist training. It gives you a steel-like durability and makes the most important tool of boxing, which are the legs, making them more enhanced and giving better speed, but the weakness is grappling, but that still can be countered. Gong Seobji has more iron boxing techniques, such as the Gong Seobji counter, where it's described to be a double-edged sword, as you need to have an immense desire to not fall and to win, landing a devastating punch on your opponent that could potentially end the fight with your win. Unlike his past, he currently only has one leg, which restricts his movements, but his durability and strength still remains. Despite being a monk, he still takes part in sinful activities, such as drinking and going to clubs. But he is still a very strong character in the series. One Man Circle. Now, I was going to explain who is James Lee, but I decided that'll explain what are circles instead. I'll talking about him in a later video. In the first generation, Kitak Kim's followers would recruit students for their power struggles. In this way, the progeneration and those students would fight those wars together. The students associated with the progeneration were called circles. The leaders of these circles were known as kings. If you like this video and want more content like this, please subscribe, like and comment, as it helps out a lot.